Welcome everyone to another episode of Heart and Soul. Today we speak about spirituality. And spirituality is not all woo-woo. We are all spiritual beings in a human body. And Janet and I, we share when we started to open up again to spirituality and what our take is on living a spiritual life. And we always love to hear from you. Share your stories with us or ask questions about spirituality. We are here for you. Janet at janetgroom.com and Caroline at carolinepalmy.com. So welcome, Janet, to another episode.
Yay! And this is a really one that touches my heart and soul because spirituality is a key component to the coaching that I do, the work that I do, and really who I am. And I know it is with you as well, Caroline. And I thought, this is a great topic. This is a lovely one for us to share because we both have been on our own spiritual journeys, and we'll talk more about that as well, and how it has impacted our lives. So tell me this, Caroline, when did you sort of make that shift or become more aware of spirituality and choosing to live a more spiritual life?
Yeah, it's probably when after my marriage ended, I sort of reconnected to that universal love, universal light, and also working with the angels. And I mean, I was always very empathic. I was always open, I have a good intuition and sense, and I'm a heart-led person. And I was conditioned that this is the wrong way, and my mom, she always gave me little angel figurines, like a guardian angel for the car, a guardian. And I thought sort of, God, not her again. But I was married to an astrophysicist, a really brain-oriented man who told me I'm not good enough and only heart persons are not good. And then I thought sort of, because I wanted to be the intellectual, kind of scientific person. And I thought, oh God, not another angel. But funny enough, when the marriage ended, and then I started to read books by Diana Cooper. And they were so in tune because she was also going through a marriage breakup and then opened up. And it was just beautiful. And I felt not alone anymore with those angels and the spiritual path. When did it start for you, Janet?
Yeah, it was kind of like hard to, I think it was Switzerland, key part of my healing journey. But when I look back on it, because I grew up in Northern Ireland in the height of the Troubles, the unrest, and you had religion as a key component of that. Not that looking back now, it really was more politics, but you had this bitter divide, and that didn't sit well with me, same as you, because as an empath, as an empathic, a sensitive child, that was really difficult for me to deal with. And I used to go to church every Sunday, and I would sit there and we'd be told about, if you're not good, you're going to burn in hell and all of this. And I kept sitting there thinking, but I thought God was a loving God. I don't get it. And I don't get with what's going on. It just confused me so much. And I think I stepped away from religion because there was hypocrisy. There was just stuff that didn't sit well with me. I'm not saying there weren't some good people who did good things, but there was a lot that didn't feel right. And I think as part of my journey, I shut down. But I didn't know that there was another option. So I kind of just don't talk to me about religion, don't want to know, whatever. And I think as well, other parts of me shut down for many other reasons of the trauma and stuff that I'd gone through. And then it was, as I progressed in life and needed to start my own healing journey, when that realization, and it was when I moved to Switzerland, that I just went, I fell apart. I had a major breakdown, and I thought, what do I need to do? So I started working on healing the mind, the mindset. It was all about the mind. And because I had so much noise going on there, I had to start in the mind. And once I got so far with that journey, then when I moved up the mountain, I realized that wasn't enough. There was still stuff missing. And then I think that's when I started to connect with you, Caroline. I connected with other amazing people in Switzerland and across the world, actually, who were spiritual and give me some great support and guidance along my spiritual journey. And then that started to fall into place. And again, more lately, it was like I'd gone back up to the head, crazy space through I think that's sort of like, let's say, the long night of the soul. And then it's now feeling like everything is sort of come back to where it needs to be. The energy of coming back to living your heart-led, soul-led life. And you just feel sort of more grounded and calmer about things. And I have to always remind myself, because as you say, we're spiritual beings having a human experience. And the human experience is sort of like so noisy and chaotic and stressful and fearful, and there's so much going on in the world, and you have to just like be able to kind of step away from that and remind yourself, hold on, that's that, but I'm this.
Mm-hmm.
What about you? Do you equate it sort of spiritualism to religion, or completely different?
I think there's a saying, so not really word by word, but sort of like, love is my religion and the body is my temple. And, and I love that. I think it's from Buddha probably or something. And I think that's it. It's sort of, I grew up as a Protestant in the church. We weren't so bad about going to hell, but it was sort of like very restrictive, and for me, it's also looking for something more open and like Neil Donald Walsh said that, yes, God is all loving, all compassionate, all forgiving. And I was really looking for that, because like you said, God is all loving. He loves us, or it loves us, and that's important, because, and we are trying here on earth our best, and we need that compassion, because it's not always easy to live in that duality and feel the compassion and try better next time. It's all about that. And for me, it was really that opening up, that, because for a while I was like, I'm not religious, there's no God. And even saying the word God, I still say universe or source, or just because I'm very sensitive with people coming from a very religious background, that God can trigger something. So for me, it's the universe, the all-loving universe, and the spiritual helpers, and just opening up. And also, right after my marriage ended, I then finally did yoga, something I always wanted. And I think there you come more into your body, you learn about the chakras and all those kind of things that sort of help you further. And reading the angel books and connecting to the universe and feeling, learning to be self-compassionate and kind to oneself, because we can be so hard on ourselves. And I think that's sort of something that was we heard and we repeat, and we keep going. maybe I had a slight opening. I was 24 when my father passed away suddenly. And that was quite a shock, and deep grief. But then after some weeks, I thought sort of, yeah, okay, I'm not afraid of dying anymore because I know he will be there on the other side. And I think that was sort of something that opened up. And the question, what is after death? Sort of, where do we come from? Where do we go? Is a question that then stayed with me. And I felt that connection. And I always felt the connection with people soon to pass, that sort of love there is. And so I knew that there is something else. It's not just lights out and finished, but that our soul will journey back to source. And that is very comforting. And I think that was the first glimpse actually for me. And then after my marriage ended, I sort of opened up completely.
I think that's a beautiful story, actually. And you have touched on the whole sort of death. You're absolutely right. When you are in a spiritual way of living, that fear disappears because you're not living in fear anymore, because you're living in love and trust. And you do feel connected to something bigger and more encompassing, divine source, the universe, the oneness, the consciousness. There's many words to describe it. I know what you mean when you say God. To me, that also is a trigger because of the religious background. But it just feels right. And I never felt that before. And when you, as you say, when you have that sort of power in your intuition and you listen to your intuition, because it's your heart and soul speaking to you, you just know when it feels right, don't you? Mm-hmm. And when you're living this sort of life is that you don't fear death. Because I know when I had my couple of run-ins with, and you have as well, is that was the one thing I wasn't afraid of dying. And it's like you sort of say, it's almost like you feel that it's just a movement from one place to something else and something better, or back home, or that feeling. And that when you take that fear of dying out of your life, you're not afraid of living.
Yeah, that's beautifully said. And also I think it helps you that you came here for a reason. You can fulfill a purpose, and it relativates or relevates whatever, every experience. You can say, okay, this is an experience. I chose that from a higher consciousness to learn about this. So you're not saying, oh, this bad thing happened to me, and why did this happen, and life is unfair, and all of this. You see it as a journey, a learning experience here on earth, and truly embrace those experiences and not labeling them, oh, this is good or bad, but just saying this is an experience and being equally grateful for both. And for me, it was also, when my marriage ended, and it was hard on me, all of a sudden being alone with 3 young children. But I was more concerned with my children. They have to grow up in a broken home. For me, it was still that family, and that was so hard. And I says, I should have tried better. I should have somehow made it work or whatever. But then I realized they came here to experience that. They chose me as the mother or us as the parents to experience that breakup. And that sort of released all the guilt and shame and the hurt and pain for my children for not being able to provide them the perfect home. So that's also, it was meant to happen. And I think that sort of liberates it all. And you say, okay, like acceptance, okay, this had to happen for a reason, and I accept this, and now I can move forward into the new. And I think that's when so many people sort of always ponder, why does this happen? What did I not do right? Like with the manifesting topic, it's sort of, oh, did I bring that on me? And sometimes it just happens for a reason, because it was part of our life journey on this side. And I love that. It's sort of, it doesn't mean we can be bullies or whatever. It's about love and kindness and embracing life as it is. And also, I always loved the concept of incarnation, of having been here on other lifetimes and meeting maybe the same souls again. Sometimes you have that, you say, so I know this person, never met, but somehow you feel that connection. And I love that. Over to you, Janet.
Yeah, I agree with you. I mean, and this is, as we, you can call it, the earth school, isn't it? That we're here for learning. And they always say the brave souls take on the earth school because it's the toughest school that you can come to. So if you're here, brave soul, good for you. And you're right in that. I think when things used to constantly be happening to me and I didn't understand, I kept, like, particularly when I found out that I'd gone through menopause as a teenager. And when I got that diagnosis, because all I ever wanted to do was be a mother. And it broke my heart. It totally broke my heart. And I never got any support. I felt I wasn't a woman anymore. I mean, it just crushed me, totally crushed me. And I was just left to deal with that. And it made me, at the time, because I was sort of in the religious world, it felt like I was being punished for something that I'd done in this lifetime or in a previous lifetime. And it felt very heavy, very hard. And I just shut down because I couldn't cope, because I didn't have the mechanisms, the tools to cope with that. And it was only at the later stage, when you're ready, when you're ready to heal, that comes up again. It was many years later then that came up again. And then I was in a place where I started to get that help and assistance and guidance that I needed. And now looking back, I realized, yes, well, that was part of my journey. And yes, okay, I didn't give birth to children. I didn't have children that way. And I mean, yes, part of my heart still is sorry that I didn't, but I have to accept that that's part of my journey. Is probably something that in my soul contract that I said, right, okay, this is something I'm prepared to do. Now I'm a fur baby mummy. And I also see that through the work we do, the coaching, the healing, I feel like it's an extension of being a mother, because I'm here and have space for my clients, for anyone I'm working with, for people I even meet in the street. I'm sure you get the same thing. I find that people talk to me all the time. You're sitting there and the next thing somebody comes, you strike up a conversation, and then the next thing they're telling you all their stories of what's going on in their lives. And it's I find that an honor and a privilege that people will open up and do that with me. I know a lot of people find it very irritating, but I don't, because I realize now that that's who I am. And I've attracted them for a reason. And if I can offer them something that will just help them in that moment to carry on, and maybe it might even guide them to making a change or a shift. I find that, I'm honored to do that. Does that ever happen to you, Caroline?
Yes, it happens, and I love it. I think we're both very nurturing, and people feel that. And yeah, if we just give them a little comfort in their time and shine some light onto their matters as light workers, and that's perfect, and that's all. I think sharing that kindness, that love, the light, that's what we are here for. And yeah, so I love that, and people sense that and come up. And yeah, many people are a bit lonely or have no one they can trust, and sometimes for some of them it's easier to share their innermost with a stranger than with a close friends. That's also part of it. And so you are a gorgeous spiritual life coach, and you create soul magic. So what are women looking for, or people looking for, when they just open up or ready to open up to spirituality?
I think it's the same as myself, in that you've maybe done some other work, or you realize there's something else missing. And some people will maybe come straight to they know it's their spirit, their soul, their heart, this side of themselves, they know. And that's why they're seeking then someone who's not just doing life coaching, because life coaching tends to be very much at the higher level of like achieving your goals. It's a very sort of, to me, it feels very masculine energy. And I think there's a lot of people, that's not what they need. They need to be sort of coming more, rather than their headspace and this sort of get, achieve. They know themselves, because they have that intuition, because we know that your heart and soul wisdom will come through, that's what they need more, and they need to be guided back to themselves. Mm-hmm. And I know that you do that work with people as well, because you're a heart flow healer, and you take people back to their wonderful heart space. And for me, I think of it more as the soul as well, so it's heart and soul. That once you're in that sort of space of either living a heart-centered life or a soul-led life, is that you are in that space. And I know myself, it used to feel like there was something missing. It was like, imagine a jigsaw puzzle, and there was like this space, empty void. And I kept saying, like, it's like I've got a hole in my heart that needed to be filled, find that missing piece. And I mean, sometimes you try different things. And for some people that is like, addictions are something that often happen because somebody is missing something crucial. Could be that they're in a relationship that they're not getting the love that they need. Perhaps it is that sort of like me, I missed, having the child that I really wanted, my family. So there was that space missing, and you're trying to fill it. Mm-hmm. I tried to fill it with just like work. And then realized that wasn't helping. And I think it's that sort of that spiritual element of us, because we're not just flesh and bone. We are so much more. And I think that in the world that we're in right now, particularly with women, and I think women who have gone through, who are a little bit older, who are maybe sort of hitting sort of menopausal age, the children are leaving home, and they're suddenly realizing, well, what have I got? Is this me? Is this it? And there's a realization, because now, of course, we know, like, we have a longer lifespan. When you hit your 50s, in the past, that would be sort of like, oh, job done. Whereas now we know you've got at least another 30, possibly 40, maybe even 50 years. So you still have a lot of time. And I think it's that lovely space, if they've got this space, is that they can then focus back on themselves and go, right, okay. And a bit of woo-woo. I think women we do love a bit of woo woo. Some people go, oh no, I'm not woo woo. That's fine. But it's interesting because when you start, going, oh, shall I pull an oracle card? I'm not, and I think this is back to the religious thing. Tarot for me always, it's a bit funny, but like an oracle card, or you start talking about something else and they'll go, oh, yes, I see this. And you start to realize, and they start to realize they're already connecting and using these intuitions, but they didn't realize they were doing it.
Yeah,
So it's actually
the same is with crystals. Sometimes we pick a crystal intuitively, just know, maybe we don't even know what it's good for, we just love the color, or it called to us. And that's also part of healing, that's also part of spiritual. I was always open for herbal treatments. With my kids, I didn't always want to give paracetamol or something. And so I think the nurturing part, that openness to more, and like you said, sometimes we feel like there's a disconnection of soul, or when we turn over 40, we say, is that all to life? Job, husband, kids, whatever. And there isn't there more? And it's a good time to look at things or asking yourself, who am I?
Yes.
That was for who am I? Yeah, I'm a sister, I'm a daughter, I'm a mother. And but who's Caroline? Who am I? And these are sort of the big soul questions that open up for more. And I think that's then another beautiful journey, like coming home, really connecting within and saying, okay, this is it. And that inner peace, that calmness, that sense of being arises.
Exactly. And I think you're right. It's a feeling of coming home, as like a sanctuary. It's everything is as it should be. We know in this world, there's sort of like a lot of people who feel they're not worthy of many things, money, abundance, love, whatever, or I'm not enough, because maybe they've been told that, or something has sort of made them feel they're not enough. I don't have the perfect body. Well, I know that one because that's what I feel like for a long time. It's felt like I can't lose weight, and I try and lose weight and not be happy when I lose weight. And I've just gone, I don't care anymore. I am who I am. And I have to say, people like me because I give great hugs, cuddly hugs. Caroline's a great hugger as well. So I think it's a lot about sort of, that finding that place where you suddenly can let go of all of that. That doesn't matter anymore. And I think once you can clear that and focus back to where you need to be from a place of love, and then not just, I think it's beautiful because then it's like this, it is like you shine. You become radiant, and that lovely sort of glow and love glow that can ripple out into the world. And right now we need that. I feel that the world needs more of and I mean, probably because we work more with women, I think that sort of women do that very well. I'm not saying that there's an odd man who can do it very well as well, but it's nice to see, because of our nurturing, the femininity that often is women who do this work so well. A light worker, I love that. Yes.
Yeah, light worker, bringing the light and love and everything. And you're right, the world needs more love, more light. And like you said, you can say, oh, I'll be happy once I lose, if I have the perfect figure. And so many women go through that and starve themselves. And then they are the perfect figure, body, and they realize they're still not happy. Because this is just the outside. It's always the inner work. Connect to your heart and connect to your soul, and then you feel fulfilled. Then you feel loved. Then you feel happy. Then then life can finally, evolve as you do.
Exactly. And as we talked last week in the manifesting, once you're in that better place and your vibrational energy is more attuned to the universe, things actually do start to turn around and you start attracting better things into your life. And I have seen that myself. Because a few years ago, as Caroline knows, I was all a bit but now it feels like settled. My lovely little baby dog puppy here, she's gone to sleep. That's great. And it's just I see her coming into our lives, and it was kind of I made the choice. I said, you know what, if we're going to do it, we've got to do it now. Tick tick tick, we got introduced to the person. She was there, and I thought, oh wow, this is happening quite quickly, but it needed to. And now she's here. When I see my husband with her, like he comes down and he's all with her, and out in the garden when he's playing, run around with her and stuff, and it making him so happy. Like it's what we've needed in our lives. So that's an important thing is, I think, when you're living from that space, you can make the right choices. I'm less likely now to make those impromptu bad calls. Whereas now I'm sort of like going, I really sort of like, is this the right thing? Is this the right thing? And if it really feels it is, I try and make it. Yeah. Well, I don't try and make it. I ask for the universe to help me to get there.
Yeah, and it doesn't come out from a neediness of needing to be loved or having that soul connection or something, but out of love.
Yes.
Out of love, of sharing that love, of bringing a dog into your life and opening up to more joy and love. And yeah, definitely wonderful. So, and I mean, we could talk for hours about spirituality, but I feel we've covered.
I think
it has so many facets, but it's truly about being open to the universe and have a deeper connection to Earth as well. Treat Earth in a kind, loving way, and realizing we are part of Earth and
part of the oneness of it all, because it almost feels like you're plugged in, you're connected. And I in my head, I see this picture of you've got your heart, and the heart sort of feels, and then I feel that you've got this ball of light, like your soul, that is almost like your guiding light. We talk about the guiding light, and your soul is there, and it's like connected in. That's, in my mind, that's how I see it.
I love that. And when you go in the right direction, it shines brighter. And
it's leading you in the right.
Okay, maybe I have to adjust.
So it's like, it's this light guiding you through. So it's we all have our own ideas about things. There's no right, wrong necessarily. It's about the way that you feel. And if you feel that you're coming from a place of love and compassion, because compassion is very important for yourself and for other people as well, and you really feel a deep knowing that you're on the right track and this is the right thing, I think that's a pretty good place to be.
Absolutely. And keep on going and read interesting books, whatever interests you, learn about things, be open, and be open to possibilities. I think that's also
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I've written a blog post about this. If you want to check out my website and read the blog post, there's a bit more information in there as well. So it totally is about sort of like that connecting and starting with yourself, with that self-love is the key, actually. Caroline's brilliant course on self-love, so self-love journey. So check out her website and see her program, because it definitely takes you through the steps to get back to that place. And then you keep we're like a work in progress. We keep developing, and the next step and whatever.
And yeah, it always starts within. Spirituality also, you know, it starts within, for you to be open to see and explore and maybe even question the things you took for granted or have been taught.
Or unlearn.
Exactly.
Oh, lovely.
So,
Thank you.
thank you all for being here. If you love to know more about spirituality, reach out, leave a comment, and yeah, see you again next week.
Thank you. Love and light blessings.